Alright guys, let's get to this thing. We're going to start tearing this thing down. Going to be a little bit different. I'm going to try to show a couple different angles. We got the GoPro head cam set up and another little jiggy here so I can kind of monitor where I'm looking. The other camera that's going to show the downward angle into the transmission. I'm going to throw this thing on my head. Let's get started. So I am going to grab some gloves because my hands are so sensitive. No, I usually don't wear gloves. I usually hate wearing gloves. But there's a lot of fluid and stuff, and with touching the camera and the tools and stuff, mainly I just don't want to get the cameras all full of garbage. So let's turn the freaking camera on, goofball. First thing we're going to do is take the input shaft. This whole assembly is going to come out all in one piece. So this is the overrun drum assembly. Basically this is for the overdrive, the fourth gear. This is your fourth clutch assembly underneath this ring, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this thing out. And it's kind of hard. Not really, it just comes out like this. Just pull it on out. So we're going to take this thing, and there's a little snap ring holding this shaft on down here. I'm just going to take this thing, I'm going to set it off to the side. We'll leave it kind of facing down like that. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is, there's a snap ring around here to get all these fourth clutches out. So we're going to go around and try to find a happy place here. And get this snap ring out. So I'm going to basically just take everything and kind of put it face down so I know kind of what direction it's all facing. Then this little ring is going to come off here, and then all these clutches should come out. So these are some clutches and steels, so we're going to pull all these guys out with it, and then we'll just take these things and we'll put them over here. Kind of look through them a little bit, and they do look a little bit kind of black and dark. Oh well, we'll throw those things over here for now. Put a snap ring on just like that so we know which way it is. Next we have this. This is the fourth drum here. So this is just going to come out. So if you look right there, that's the Torx bolt that we took out of the valve body before. So if you don't pull that thing out, this drum won't come out. So we'll take this thing, set it off to the side. Set it off to the side. So next we have the forward drum. So then you can see this little guy over here. This is for one of the speed sensors. So that's not touching it, it's actually just reading this drum. So this guy's going to come out of here, and we'll just pull this thing straight out. Just be careful too, because there is a bearing right here on top of this. So this is a 3-piece bearing. See this? That's a bearing. So I don't want to make sure we remember where that thing is. And we'll just lift this guy out. And we'll put it face down right over here. Let's give it a little whirl. We'll check out the bottom. And there's a little thrust washer right here, so we'll want to remember where that thing is. Oh! Lost the bearing. Alright, so next we have the direct drum. I don't know if I'll be able to pull this guy out. Oh, I got it. So this is the direct drum. So there's some more clutches inside here, the direct clutches. This is all a big spring assembly. And there's a piston underneath. Snap ring. That just pulls out. Let's set this thing off to the side. And keep everything in order. And this is a band. This is our low band. isn't really active for that much, so this actually looks pretty good. Looks pretty decent, so we'll take the low band, we'll set it off to the side here. So we'll put it there. So now there's a snap ring that's holding the rest of this assembly, but I'm actually gonna have to take out another piece, but we'll get the snap ring off. I don't even need a tool. Alright, here, I was just able to get it with my hand. So I'll take this guy off. And then we do have the intermediate clutches. So we do have some more clutches and steels right here. Let's check these out. The steels look like they're pretty burnt up. So I'm planning on probably just replacing all this stuff. But yeah, they look a little bit, they don't look terrible, but we'll just look at this thing, see these little tabs at the bottom. We'll want to remember which way those things are going. And on the bottom of the intermediate clutches and steels. Set this down kind of in order. Maybe we'll pop these guys over to the side here. So there's actually another snap ring down there that's going to come off. I'm going to take out the transmission cooler line fitting, the return fitting. So this return fitting here, that actually goes into the center support. So this other bolt that we had down here, that was the 3/8, that goes into the center support. This goes into the center support as a return, so we're going to want to pull that out of there. So this is what this looks like. So that's all the way in, and it's going into that center support for the return. So if that's still in, we're not going to be able to pull this whole assembly out. So we got to get this thing out of the way before this comes out. So we do have another snap ring. This is actually a beveled snap ring. It's a little bit tough to get out. Get this thing out, and this is, when I say this is a beveled snap ring, you can see the bevel on it. It's kind of got that little angle. This bevel has to go up towards the front of the transmission, so just have to remember that when we put that thing back in there. So next we should be free and clear to pull this whole assembly out, and I may or may not be able to do this with my hands, but we're gonna give it a swirl. So I'm gonna grab basically this whole center support housing. Oh! And I wanted to pull it up with the whole shaft, but maybe I'll just pull the center support out off it. Alright, so this is the center support. There's another piston, some springs inside of here. So we'll pull this guy out. And this is actually, there's a 3-piece bearing, another 3-piece bearing. One piece of the bearing got stuck to the side here, got stuck to the bottom. And you can see the needle bearings exposed. Down at the bottom there, you can see that needle bearing. So I'm just going to make sure that this stays all together. I'm going to get this thing out of the way for now. And then what we want to remember here is that there is another washer, another thrust washer. And we also have this roller spring down in here. So we don't want to lose that thing, but now I should have enough of the shaft to grab. Okay, so I was getting hung up on this little tail shaft housing cup here. So this is just kind of like pressed onto the shaft, just a couple taps on it, and it came out. So it was actually getting stuck on this little lip here. There's just 6 15mm bolts. Pull the tail housing off, pop this thing off, now it'll slide out. And last but not least, you should be able to pull the rest of this out. So I'll just pull straight up, pull this whole piece out. It's like tail shaft housing, all that junk. So this piece was on the end like this. That's why I was having problems getting it out before. So I had to pop this thing off. Keep this all assembled as one piece. We do have a washer there. And we do have a three-piece bearing right there. So I'm going to take the bottom of this bearing off of this center support assembly, and I'm just going to put that back on there so that bearing is all together. And then we'll throw this here. Next thing, we just have this reverse band, and this should just pull right out. Here we go. We got one more little washer down at the bottom. So that'd be the last piece. All right, guys, here we go. There it is, everything all laid out on the table. Ready to go through it. Start looking at what's bad, what's good, what we need to replace. But that's about it for this video. I'm gonna save all that for the next one. We'll go through each piece, disassemble it, look at everything, and decide what we need. Tell you right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and replace like all the clutches, all the steels, pretty much everything that I can, except for the major components. I did look through some of them, like all the planetary gears and stuff, and a lot of it is good already, but we'll go through, take it apart, talk about it. See you next time.